Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at this right here, the high-grade After War GX9901DX Gundam Double X from the only ever cancelled Gundam show, Gundam X. This right here is the twin satellite cannon mid-season update to the Gundam X that we would have taken a look at on this channel a few days ago. That's the high-grade Gundam X. Today is the high-grade Gundam Double X. If you're looking for one of these of your own and you can't find one, you'll definitely find yours where I found mine, and that is over on Buyee. Link is down there in the description. Now let's get this unboxed and built. So first up, taking a quick look at the box. This is a kit from 2013, so not too old, but still pre-Revive. This kit did come out pre-2016, so that does mean no translation to English on the side of the box. There is what the kit will look like complete, possibly with a bit of paint on it, and around on this side here, we've got pretty much all the details about this particular kit. So we do have those satellite cannons around back. Looking at the hips here, it does say they could be ball joints. We've got a beam sword, the cannons, and a buster rifle in here as well. On busting open the box, we've got 1 and 2 bags of runners, as well as the included manual. The manual in here is the usual kind of UC style manual. Again, this isn't a UC kit, but they use the same kind of format. Around the back, we're seeing all the details. Again, pretty much exactly the same as what we would have seen on the sides of the box. Opening up, and all the information here is about the included weapons. The twin satellite cannons, energy radiator plates, buster rifle, hyper beam sword, and when it does come to the amount of plastic we've got in the box, we've got 8 runners and some polycaps. As well as the plastic in here, we do have a sheet of stickers, mainly for the big satellite cannon plates, but we do have a few color correcting ones in here, some lenses, some details, what looks like thrusters, as well as this fairly large kind of dark blue one. So first off in here, we've got the leg, and this is what it looks like out of box, so not so bad. It is a couple of stickers for those vents right there. There was a red one for use in here, but it did not work out at all, so that's gone now. We do have the radiator panels inside the side of the leg, which open up just like so. And besides that, the articulation all around is not too bad. Again, a little bit paralyzed inside of the foot. Old school Revive style, and speaking of which, it's the usual polycap ankle joint, just 2 pieces to the foot. This is my first time ever seen a knee joint quite like this. The side that sandwiches on does not have a peg to go in there. It just kind of covers it up by sliding onto it. Unique. Usual Revive style build in here, so that's a polycap top and bottom with a slot for the articulation and attachment points inside the lower leg. Sticker for the vents. The radiator panels attach in via pressure, like 1 and 2, and honestly I can't help but see a kind of duck head going on right here. Quack. Other panel connects via a C-clip like that. Standard Revive hip design. Ankle armor, foot, knee, and the hip. So there we go, 2 legs done, moving on up. So next up, moving on up to the waist unit. In here we've got a side-to-side moving hip joint, locks in with a paralyzed butt flap. Also, we'll mention it is missing a lot of detail around here. I'm assuming those are meant to be in venti colors, maybe not. The front skirtings get locked on with this front section. We do have color separation, and you can separate the skirtings on the runner. The side skirtings do have this little section which attaches in like so. I will mention these are just white on the underside. The side skirtings attach the usual way. That's the C-clip onto a polycap hinge like that. And then you finish this off with a little bit of a waist extension section attached up like so. The legs then pop on via pegs, so no ball joint hips like the Gundam X, thankfully. And that is what it looks like once complete. Up to the torso now, and starting with the shoulder joints, they align moving forward and back like that. Neck joint, funnily enough, attaches into this bit, that attaches into the front. The back then attaches into that. We then attach 2 silvered stickers on as some backing for the clear parts, which pop on up top like that, and down below like so. Yellow chest vents pop in. Start on the backpack by attaching in these 2 plastic joints. Close it up, attach in 2 of these verniers. I'll mention right here that we do have the twin peg backpack adapter. The backpack on this attaches on just like that, and then the torso pops onto the body like that, and looking good so far. So next up in here is the arm, and there is quite a few moving parts here. First off, we've got these little kind of sensors for the satellite cannon. They pop up top. I will mention that it is just a standard ball joint right there, which attaches into the arm. So it means the arm is locked into the shoulder, which does heavily affect articulation, but it seems to be the same on all these Revive-ish kits. There is the bend at the elbow, a little bit of a weird hollow part right there, which is odd. And we do have the opening section right here to the pair of radiator sections in there. We start off with a sticker for this sight that sandwiches in here with a polycap to finish off the shoulder, so simple as that. We do have a nice double jointed elbow right here. It is shame about the kind of hollow section you get right here when it is complete. This slides down into the forearm armor, gets locked in with this little segment like so. The two radiator panels attach onto this bit, C-clip onto the forearm, and then it's just bracer armor, upper arm, lower shoulder, and then it finishes off at the hand, followed by the shoulder armor. Attaching the arms are just ball joints into the sockets, and this is looking really, really nice so far. Definitely an eye-catching Gundam design. Digging that. Wow, I feel like I just walked into this just by saying that right there. Look at that right there. Look at that right there. See that? See that? 7? That right there? That is the red segment for the middle of the blade antenna, the V-fin. That is an utter tragedy. What the hell? Anyway, there's what the head looks like complete. Now, I'm actually shocked. This kit was going so well until this happened, and not just the bit in the middle of the V-fin. That's a tragedy. But look at this killer seam down the top. This is like a level of old school this kit should not have. Well, what can I say? When it comes to the build, you stick the eyes onto the red section like so. It's all one big large piece. That gets sandwiched between the two outer armor segments. Then you stick on the face and the V-fin. That's it. It's super simple and quite a bit of a letdown. That seam is killer. The no red on the V-fin. That I have probably never seen. At least in nothing anyway recent. Finally, then the head just attaches on like so, and that is it pretty much complete, besides the satellite cannons around back. And from a distance, you wouldn't really notice the head too much. It looks nice, but a big shame about that red dual central section. The last part of the build then is the satellite cannons. They're mainly just 4 parts as well as a little bit of a hinge, so not too much to them. There are stickers for on the lenses. Then you build up the big plates for around back. These require some large stickers. They looked a lot worse actually on the sheet than they were to put on. They put on very well, they look very nice. I guess like actual space reflectors as opposed to the prismatic ones we would have seen on the Gundam X. And once they're all attached together, you throw them onto the Gundam X just like so, and it really is literally X-shaped, which is pretty brilliant. Anyway, onto the aesthetics. Did you know that my camera overheats halfway through a video, and that really slows me down and makes me switch down to HD, even in brand new priority videos? That's why in 2026 I do plan to upgrade, and every single upgrade I've ever gotten on this channel, from cameras to my editing computer, has all come from Patreon. So if you do want to help out the channel, I am pushing it a little bit during Buildmas right now to get some quality of life enhancements to the channel for next year. So if you want to help out, link is down there in the description. Every single one of my videos goes on there 12 hours before YouTube, and of course, they are ad-free. So now there is the high-grade Gundam Double X complete, and jumping on into the aesthetics. Overall, if we're just taking the kit as it is, I am definitely impressed. It does look very nice. The silhouette is there. The overall blocky, big, almost dominant and strong silhouette that the Gundam Double X has is definitely replicated perfectly. There are a couple of color inaccuracy issues on it overall, but if you didn't really know that they were problems, it wouldn't really be such a big issue. For example, when it comes to the sticker that should be on the V-fin. Yes, the center of this is meant to be in red, but there are some Gundam kits and Gundam designs out there that do have a fully yellow V-fin, so you could almost forget about that if you didn't know any better. Overall, the color separation out of box is very nice. We've got multiple great colors on it: red, yellow, as well as that absolutely cracking glowing green. Like I mentioned, there are a couple of hollow spots here and there, but nothing too critical, and overall, very nice looking kit out of box. So throwing it down side by side with the original art, the first thing I would say is it looks a little stockier than the art on the right, which looks a little bit on the slender side. But just knowing from the intro, the second intro of Gundam X, it is actually as stocky and as bulky as what we're seeing on the high grade to the left, so that is accurate. We are missing a couple of colors, of course, the V-fin on the head being the most obvious one. We do have stickers for the triangles and the thrusters on the knee, but we don't actually have anything for on the thrusters on the front of the feet right there. Again, all of those things you will have to detail up yourself if you want it to be color accurate. So jumping into the head now, and of course, like I've mentioned multiple times so far, we are missing the red on the V-fin, but otherwise the color accuracy is okay. We'll mention there is something of a little bit of an awkward kind of look to the head on this kit. I'm not sure if it's just something to do with the overall kind of X design on its face, including the cheeks, and we also do have that little bit of a split at the very top of the head, which doesn't look the greatest. Moving down to the torso now, and again the color separation is very nice. According to the manual, you are meant to have some black inside the vents on the chest, and those Vulcans in the upper clavicle zones, those are meant to be in a little bit of grey, but otherwise looking good, and the green popping off. Taking a look around back, and this is pretty much as it's meant to look, so the colors around back on the Gundam Double X aren't too crazy. We've got those big flared out, almost wing looking panels up top looking nice, and it has a more symmetrical look than we would have had with the standard Gundam X. When it comes to the arms, pretty much your standard looking Gundam arms besides those huge flared out shoulders and the nice bracers with the radiator plates inside. You can see into the radiator plates from some angles, which adds a nice dimension. And just like with the Gundam X, the standard holding hands are the only hands in here, nothing expressive. So even in basic poses like this, it can look a little bit on the awkward side. When it comes to the waist unit, we've got some nice separation of color here. We've got the red up top, the thruster down below, as well as those two sections for attaching on the beam swords on the side skirts. Also, some subtle but nice panel lines. Moving down to the legs, I do like the consistency in the design where we have the bracers on the sides of the arms. We also have these radiator panels on the sides of the legs too. You can see into the yellow in there. Of course, there are some stickers for some of the detailing on here. And down on the foot, it does look a little bit on the plain side because we don't have the color on that thruster segment, but there is some nice molded detail underneath the ankle armor that could do with some panel lining. So jumping on into the size comparison, and there it is beside two average size Gundams, which is the RX-78-2 and the Gundam Mark II. So it is about average height, if not a little bit shorter. Also, it looks kind of bulky in a vacuum, but when you see it beside two standard Gundams, it's a little on the slender side towards the center. Overall, a little bit smaller than average. Next up, there it is side by side with the standard Gundam X, and I'm surprised. I usually like the Double X design more than the Gundam X, but I feel the high grade just doesn't compare. It's not quite as nice, even though it's a more recent kit. Next up, the high grade Air Master Burst, I think it's called. Bandai, where the hell is my goddamn leopard? And beside a couple of random Gundams, there's the G-Quax, Barbatos, and the high grade Gundam Ariel. So jumping on into the accessories, and here's absolutely everything that comes with the high-grade Gundam Double X, which is the usual loadout of sword, board, and beam rifle. The sword in here being a lot nicer than your regular old beam sabers, so these are some nice beam swords. We've also got a little bit of a shield, a beam rifle, as well as one alternate hand, which is for holding on to said beam rifle. Overall, not the hugest loadout, but its biggest weapons are mounted right on the back. So when it comes to the satellite cannons back here, getting them around to the front is very simple. They just actually rotate like so, move on over the shoulders then like that. They have an extension gimmick which pulls out just like so. You fold out the panels around in the back just like so, and that is what it looks like in a pose with the satellite cannons ready. This looks absolutely awesome, and definitely the coolest thing about the Gundam Double X, and this high grade right here as well. These look nice. Actually would look even nicer if I popped out these shoulder sight sections which actually lock into them like so as part of that little transformation. Moving on through the accessories now, first off we've got these beam swords which look absolutely vigorous. That's some nice beam effects in here, pretty much the same as what we would have seen with the standard version of the Gundam Double X. Nice handles as well. Because it is build miss, I don't have time to take a look at these in the hand, so just storage for these. And then these plug into the side little section of these side skirts just like so. That is a neat, nice design. Next up in here is the beam rifle. There is some nice molded detail on here. We have a color separated barrel at the end. One little bit of a letdown though is this segment right here is meant to be in a dark navy, matching the mobile suit itself, but it's not. As you can see, I did well stick on one sticker here. A sticker for that navy blue is included if you want it. And sure, screw it, I stuck it on just for the sake of seeing it. That's what the sticker looks like, attached on. Not the greatest. The hand attaches on in the usual kind of sandwich style. We do have a trigger finger that goes through, very nice. I also noticed these circular sections here. These are meant to be in that kind of dark blue too, but they're not. No sticker included. And attaching this on just involves removing the hand you don't want and popping this one on. I'll also mention there's only a left hand holding hand for holding onto this beam rifle, so it cannot hold it right-handedly. Sorry. I'll also mention there is only a right hand for holding onto this, no left-handed holding parts included. Next up then in here is the shield. This is very, very simple. Around on this side, it's pretty terrible. I don't think there's any other word to describe that as terrible. It just looks so unfinished. Anyway, that's what the other side looks like. And we do have some red color separation on there and a little bit of a slot for looking on through. This then, when you want to attach it, attaches onto a little bit of a slot right here in the back of the arm and attaches on just like that. So quite simple. And that right there is what the high-grade Gundam Double X looks like, loaded up with all of its equipment. So now jumping on into the articulation and the usual comment on the build. So this is definitely a little bit on the floppy side in the way that polycap kits can be. But the worst aspect is this right here. So it can't actually hold up its backpack. So it always ends up kind of dropping back. So you're definitely going to have to tighten up this particular joint right here. And this was kind of a thing that happened fairly often with kits like this. So it is annoying. You get into a nice position and then it just drops on back. And overall it kind of has that kind of sponginess even, that when I'm getting into poses I want, the actual plastic on plastic joints are nice and strong, but then the polycap ones like the ankles will be really jelly and you'll kind of screw up your pose a bit. Could be better, but not the worst. Anyway, usual pose time. So throwing into the usual pose, and this is about average, if not a little bit sub-average when it does come to posability. It's locked in some aspects fairly badly, like these shoulders. The shoulders are mounted, or should I even say the arms are mounted directly into the shoulders, which limits the upward movement. Pretty much all the other joints are fairly limited too. Handy little kind of bipod back here to hold it up so it doesn't fall over, but all in all, it doesn't really pull off poses too crazily well. A little bit on the limited side. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and when it comes to the high-grade Gundam Double X, this right here is X Silver Tier, and a pure X Silver Tier. Got 2 out of 5 in every regard. When it comes to the aesthetics, overall it's very nice looking. At first glance it looks pretty cool and ticks all of the boxes. That exactly is what 2 out of 5 means to me. It would have to be fully color accurate to get 3 out of 5, have some crazy layering and detailing to get 4, and then do something absolutely ridiculous to get 5. So it's basic. It's missing some critical color like the middle of the V-fin, which is crazy, and there are some seams in places you don't like to see, like right through the top of the head. Articulation-wise, it's fairly basic. You'll get the basic poses out of it, but it's limited in a lot of different ways, especially at the torso, the feet, and the shoulders. When it comes to the accessories in here, overall you get some nice stuff and some not so nice stuff. The beam sabers are very, very nice, or should I say the beam swords. The rifle is very and the shield is an absolute sin. However, we do have the satellite cannons around back and they do everything you want them to do, so they are quite nice. Not necessarily an accessory though. Lastly, when it does come to the build, this is a Revive style kit through and through. There's nothing too thrilling about it. There is a ton of stickers, especially around in the backpack, which isn't really a whole lot of fun. There will be a lot of detailing up to do. The end kit is solid enough besides a bit of a wiggle at the waist, but this, again, mileage may vary in this particular aspect because polycaps can be ridiculously unreliable. Some kits tight, some kits really loose. So you get what you get. Anyway, yeah, X Silver Tier, it's okay. Better kits out there. But if you do like Gundam Double X, this is a nice choice, but I would recommend the Master Grade. Anyway, as always, come back again for another day of Buildmas tomorrow. This was build 28 of 50, and I'll see you then. As always, this video right here and every single video I make would not be possible without each and every one of you guys who watches this video. And special thanks at the end of this video right here to those who support on the channel memberships as well as over on Patreon, including Caleb Engelhart, Joe, OG59061, Scotty Thomas, and Simon.